You are listening to X Wing Radio.
Welcome back, all you members of the 9 ruling families of the Ascendancy. I'm David, that's Wesley, and you just tuned in to X-Wing Radio, your bi-weekly podcast from a galaxy far, far away.
David, you mentioned the 9 ruling families, but you didn't mention the 40. What about them? And hey, all chiss are superior to anything else.
I mean, that's fair, but the 9 ruling families are superior to the others.
Fair enough. Politics aside, today we are going to be talking a little bit about the Thrawn Ascendancy Rising Chaos book. But before we get to that, we are going to be discussing some other things, some lead up things. First off, David, did you see that? I believe it was for Ahsoka season 2. Ewan McGregor confirmed that he would be in season 2 of Ahsoka. And Disney turned right back around and was like, "Nope, nope, nope, nope. He's not in it. He's not going to be in it." Uh,
Yeah, I did see that.
so obviously, I would be willing to bet that that means that we're going to see Ewan McGregor in Ahsoka season 2. Um, in what capacity? I don't know. Uh, flashbacks, probable. I wonder if they'll do something similar to what they did with the Kenobi series, where they constantly were doing flashbacks to the Clone Wars. I mean, they did that. They did that obviously in Ahsoka with the flashbacks to like Anakin, um, when he was in the Clone Wars. But um, but yeah, I'd be willing to bet that he's in it and he just wasn't supposed to say anything. Um, but yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan is probably one of my favorite characters, and getting to see more of him, I'm never I'm never opposed to that.
Hmm. Yeah. So, another thing that I had heard was allegedly we might also see Cameron Monaghan playing Cal Kestis in Ahsoka season 2. I have seen that floating around too.
Oh, trustworthy sites?
I just looked it up to double check that, and I found an article on IMDb about it.
Ooh, huh. I think that's a good move. I think it'd be
Hmm.
good to. Here's the thing. We've talked about it before, where it's like you understand it in the sense of uh Disney doesn't want to alienate its audiences who don't play video games. But I think the fans have been calling for this for a long time, saying, "Oh, bring him to live action. Bring him to the main Star Wars universe. Let's see him outside of just the games." It doesn't have to be a huge role, and it can be hey, you can explain this character in the show so he makes sense within the show,
Again,
but he's
you don't
also he's also like an Easter egg type character where it's like, "Oh, I know that character. I know what he's from."
you can reintroduce the character to audiences who've never played the games without this long drawn out process to reintroduce the character that'll make like fans of the games be like, we get it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. There are ways to do it. And yeah, I would love to see that. I think, he does a great job in the video games. He's obviously a pretty good actor. Uh so, you know,
And we don't know like obviously we don't really know what happens to him post Empire,
mhm. Yeah,
but
very true.
presumably he's still around.
Yeah. I mean,
And
per the games, obviously he doesn't die in them. So, that would kind of, I know it's happened before, but that would kind of suck playing a video game and then the main character you've
mm,
been playing this whole time dies at the end.
yeah, that yeah, that would. I mean, before Force Unleashed, but yeah. Also, hang on
As
one second. But yeah, I do think like we could see like it wouldn't be hard for Disney to reintroduce Cal in something like Ahsoka.
It is interesting though that you mentioned Force Unleashed because the style, like, okay, and as many ways as you can say this, I would say that for the modern era of gaming and Star Wars, that's what the Fallen Order games are. They're our more modern version of what Force Unleashed was, you know, and
Hmm.
with like missions, open world, different things like that. Um, but yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that because yeah, we could see a character die at the end. It's not like it's never happened before. Um, but I don't think that that's something that will happen. Obviously, we already have two Fallen Order
Jedi
games.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, and and so we might get a third one. We might understand what happens after the third one. What I would like to see is to get a third one after possibly him showing up somewhere, if it's Ahsoka season 2 or later, somewhere else in the universe, and then maybe that's like where we get our jump off point, where it's not necessarily just during the Empire. Maybe we see him doing stuff after the fact.
Mhm. I mean, we could potentially see like you know, a New Republic era Fallen Order game.
Yeah,
And honestly, what would be kind of cool with that, again, I bring this up because, Star Wars fans want every detail explained,
we
but it
stupid.
would be, hmm,
I said we stupid.
yeah, but maybe a cool plot would be seeing the origins of the Knights of Ren in a New Republic set era. Again,
That would be cool.
this would be before Kylo.
Yeah,
This would be before Kylo Ren, but
yeah.
kind of an origins of the Knights of Ren.
I would be down for that. That would be kind of cool.
Because again, I know that's stereotypical for Star Wars fans to want to know every detail about every single character. However, for kind of a central plot point in the sequels, they really ignore the Knights of Ren.
David, there were so many central plot points in the sequel trilogies that they ignored. I mean, Rey's parents that they just completely were like, "Oh, we don't care. Oh, we care. Oh, we don't care." It's a matter of okay. So I saw a thing the other day, and it was the actress who plays Jyn Erso. Okay, do you remember what her
Hmm.
name is?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, I don't either. But anyways, there's an actress who played Jyn Erso, and she said that we was talking about the fact that there were rewrites to parts of the script of Rogue One when they were filming Rogue One. And I guess the point was that's pretty common for big movies like that. They constantly are having some kind of
Hmm.
rewrites through it. And the thing is like, yes, I can understand how that's common. Let's say you end up shooting a scene and you're sitting there, you're like, that didn't play out how I wanted it to in my head. All right, let's switch it up. I have a new idea. It's going to work better. Right? But that's different than going into a movie or a trilogy like the sequels and being like, nah, we'll just figure it out as we go. We don't need to have any type of plot point map of where we're trying to get with this story. We'll just figure it out. When we get there, we get there. If someone screws it up in the middle because they want to be a visionary and everything, who cares? It doesn't really matter if we throw everything out from one movie to the next movie and then bring everything back in the third movie. That's fine, right? It's like, no, you can have a general idea. That's what you need is a general idea of what your story is going to be. The actual details of it can change, and that's all right.
Or at least have the same director or team of
Yeah.
directors. Do what okay, if you wanted to do the thing where you had three different directors, do what The Mandalorian did. Every episode of The Mandalorian had a different director,
Hmm.
but it worked because they all collaborated. They
Yeah.
all said, "Hey, this is my idea. How is this going to fit?" And they were all under Jon Favreau.
Yeah. You had someone up top, and it wasn't Kathleen Kennedy who doesn't give a rip about any of this. I uh
Mm,
I got a little passionate there for a second, and I was about to start you might have needed a bleeper from me, David. I had to pull myself back. I apologize. Um, David, do you have any more like things, news, thoughts that have popped up in your head that you want to get out? Good, I don't care. Because
mm-mm.
now it is time for you to suffer.
Uh-oh.
So, David, I had this idea, and I think it'll be at least some bit of value to what we put out on YouTube. I had this idea because I have this book here. It says "Obsessed with Star Wars. Test your
I
knowledge of the
feel
galaxy.
I feel like this is
25 2,500 Star Wars questions."
I feel like this is payback for Truck Rass Trivia.
Yeah, this is gonna be worse than that, I promise. Because David, you know Star Wars. Some of these questions are really obscure. But yeah. So what I did was I went in, and we don't have to necessarily do 10. It kind of depends on how quickly we get through this. I don't want to take forever on this, but if we don't end up taking too long, we'll probably go through all 10 of these questions that I have laid out. But I have 10 questions. I got ChatGPT to generate 10 numbers between 1 and 2,500, and I have all 10 sitting here. And so I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna ask you the questions, and
Do
per
do you
huh?
know what these questions are?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've also looked them up because some of them were real obscure, and I wanted to know some behind the scenes details about them. So once we go through them, I will explain a little bit about the actual questions. If some of them are something that you're like, where did that come from? Or what it some of them are like species or like a class of a fighter or something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, this is what that is. So I have some explanation for some of these. So I did do some research. Granted, I did it this morning. I meant to do it last night, but last night was booked. So, anyways, so but I figured this is something we could start doing to expand everyone's knowledge of Star Wars, and yours and mine. And also, I think it'd be funny to watch you suffer because you've done it enough.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have it sitting here in our little outline that I have 10 questions for David. The punishment for not getting enough right is to be decided. I'll figure that out later.
You also don't have a threshold for how many is enough.
No, it's however many I deem right. David, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, luck is gonna have to be on your side for you to get more than 50% of these.
The force is with me.
Yeah, the force is not strong in this one. All right, David. So we're gonna start off with a banger. Now, this book goes through each of the errors of Star Wars. Now, this is a book that came out before the sequels, so it is just basically questions
Okay.
spanning. It's not specific to the movies, but the questions era wise span from Phantom Menace to Return of the Jedi. So we are going to be in the Return of the Jedi era to give you a little bit of context. And I'll give you context for each one of them. Not all of it's going to help, but there will be some context. Like there's one
Mm,
later on that is a question specifically about Mustafar that's during the Revenge of the Sith era, has nothing to do with the movies specifically, but we'll get to that later.
mm.
All right, so how many, how many FF, SFS 204 sublight ion engines does a Lambda class shuttle contain? So those are the Imperial shuttles, the common ones.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, I
I,
have options for you. Let me
oh,
complete the question. So is it A 4, B 2, C 6, or D 1? Yeah, this is not off the top of your head. You do have at least a 25% chance of getting these right.
I'm going to say 4.
4. Final answer?
Yes.
Okay. Let me find out where my yeah. So, you're wrong. It's 2. They have 2 ion engines. And here's the thing, I didn't look this up because it's asked how many SFS 204 sublight ion engines do they have. So I'm wondering, are there like other types of engines on it that, maybe you look at it. But I will say, if you look at a picture of them and you look at the back, they have 2 of the little ports on the back.
Yeah, I could.
So,
So yeah, I just looked it up. I couldn't remember if they were 2 or that
yeah.
looks like 1. There you go.
Now,
I couldn't remember if they were 2 or 4.
no cheating. So, you will be caught and punished. All right. Now, this is a big book with a lot of questions in it, and my questions span all over the place. So you got to give me a second in between uh, to go back around and find it. Because no, I did not mark any of these. But uh, anyways, so we are now in the Empire Strikes Back era. Okay. So how large are tauntaun herds? Is it A, 20 to 30 individuals? Is it B, 40 to 50 individuals? Is it C, 60 to 80 individuals? Or is it D, 10 to 20 individuals?
Hate you.
Yeah, you do.
Need to get the thing on the soundboard of Anakin,
Hey, you got to do that. You should do that. And anytime you get a question you don't like, just play it.
Okay, so this is a complete guess. I'm relying
25%,
I'm relying on the Force.
25% chance.
I'm going to say B.
B. Do you remember what B is?
Isn't that 40 to 60? Or 20 to 40? No, wait.
Well, what's B? I want to know what you think B is before I tell you yes or no, because you could just be guessing.
That wasn't that was the 30 to 40 range, wasn't it?
There's 40 to 50, but you were
Oh,
close.
40 50. Okay.
Yeah. It
Yes,
goes
I'm gonna go with
20,
that.
30, 40, 50, 60, 80, and 10 to 20. Okay. So, David, you are off to such a hot start of 0 and 2 because you can't get a question right. Yeah, so it's not 40 to 50, it's 20 to 30. So that's how
Mm.
many tauntauns are in a tauntaun herd. Uh, I was I was about to ask a dumb question of what do they call their packs? Despite the fact that the question itself says herd, so they're a herd, you know. I'm allowed to be stupid, David. It's I just am.
Not
Alrighty,
a
so
not a flock of tauntauns
not a flock of tauntauns. No, it's a flock of wampas.
or a gaggle of tauntauns.
What are
Now
you
I feel
doing to
like it
your
would be a
what are
murder.
you doing to your
I feel
tauntaun?
I feel like it could be a murder of Wampas.
Yeah. Dude, we need to talk about wampas at some point because I came across a video the other day talking about wampas and just like how smart and intelligent they are, and like it would make for a great episode. All right,
Wikipedia
David, are you ready? You say what?
a Wikipedia video.
Yeah, we could flesh it out a little bit more. Okay, David. So, are you ready for your third? This is only three. Third question. Okay. Get ready to roll the audio because you're gonna hate me for this too. And I looked this up. This is an extreme deep cut. You're still gonna probably guess it, but it's extreme deep cut. Whom did Darth Vader hire an actor to impersonate, setting a trap for Luke Skywalker on the planet uh Adris? Owen Lars, Beru Lars, Biggs Darklighter, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like I said, this is an extreme deep cut. I had absolutely no clue about it whatsoever, but I looked it up and it is actually a real thing.
So, okay. I don't feel like it would be Biggs. That doesn't really make any sense. So I feel like three of the answers make more sense.
Hmm.
However, I don't know that he would do just one of, Uncle Owen or Aunt Beru.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's probably going to be Obi-Wan.
Okay.
So that's
So
my answer, Obi-Wan
that's your
Kenobi.
final answer, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
You are correct. It was Obi-Wan
Finally.
Kenobi. Now, David, that one is kind of an easy one, despite the fact that the context itself was very much a deep cut. So let me read you this little bit here about what this story came from. Did you know Darth Vader once hired an actor to play Obi-Wan Kenobi? It was one of the many plans to capture Luke Skywalker in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Or at least it was in a newspaper strip in the early 1980s, one of the many bizarre stories told in the time before the expanding universe started cementing itself. So this is a newspaper strip comic or something like that that they made um that Star Wars
So wait,
made
wait,
about.
was this actually like a Lucasfilm thing, or was this actually fan fiction?
Well, let's see. First and foremost, it's important to remember Star Wars has always been an expanding universe, has always been an expanding universe for many years. It entered the realm of books, comics, and other things from day one. Marvel had a license first before it went to Dark Horse Comics in the 90s. But while Marvel was publishing its own Star Wars comics, Star Wars comic strips also appeared in newspapers. During this time, an idea of an interconnected continuity wasn't always a priority, as lore was not something that was taken seriously. Okay, so it wasn't Marvel with the rights to use it. Oh, here it is. The newspaper strip was created by the classic team of Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson. Uh, yeah, that's all it says there. So I don't know who they're working for. And the story was reprinted by Dark Horse Comics in Classic Star Wars issue 11 in 1993. Um, so I'm not entirely sure where all that fits in, but I guess it was some newspaper that came up with it, had the ability to make it, and made it. Apparently, the actor like got plastic surgery and everything to make himself look like old Ben and all that. But that's like,
Hmm.
I mean, I had never heard that whatsoever. So, but good job, David. You don't completely suck. Moving on. Yeah. Okay. All right. Get ready to hate me again. And I kind of hate myself too because this has a lot of words in it. All right. What species has semi-translucent skin in its larva stage that metabolizes UV filtering chemicals from its planet's native plant life. This is going to be a little bit difficult because I got some big words in here. Is it a varacula, D, a, a decatilla, don't know, C, a yanfa, or D, a gelagrub?
Heck is a Gallagher?
I have no idea. I'm assuming some kind of grub form.
What the heck are any of these?
David, I'll be honest. I did look up what the answer to this one is and like to figure out what it is, and it's something that we haven't seen that often in Star Wars. So basically, this one is, hey, take a random guess, and we're still gonna lower your score if you get it wrong.
Sure, I'm gonna go with a Yanfa, I guess.
A Yanfa. Well, David, you know your instincts. I wouldn't trust them because they suck. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
not. It is a Gelagrub though. So
Oh.
yeah, go ahead and look up what a Gelagrub is. I got a picture of one here, and it does look like a grub. I'm not gonna lie, but it is a clone trooper riding it. We may not I may not do anything with that last question just because I stumbled over so many words it's not
Okay,
worth.
so they're looks like they're native to Felucia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it looks like. All right, so moving on to the next one. Da-da-da-da. Bomb. All right, we can't pay rights to Disney. Oh, David, you're gonna love me. All right, you're gonna love me.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, possibly. Okay, you're actually gonna have context for this one. So we are in the Return of the Jedi era, and David, here's my question. So when the Millennium Falcon is flying through the Death Star, the second Death Star, Lando Calrissian is at the pilot seat on totem, not a scratch on it. What part of the ship gets knocked off when they run into a beam? Is it the hyperspace integrator? Is it the main sensor? Uh, rec, what? Why can't I read? Is it the main sensor? David, help.
All right.
RECTE rectina. Who's stupid here? All right. Is it the main sensor rectina? Is it the upper quad laser cannon? Or is it the warp vortex stabilizer? I mean, I know you can envision the scene, but what was that piece for?
Wasn't that the main sensor antenna?
Yes. Good job.
Okay.
You finally got
Because
one
I was
right.
about to say it's the satellite dish, so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a satellite dish. For anyone who's
Yeah.
confused, the satellite dish. But yeah. And you know me, I'm stupid, so I don't know what rectina says. I don't know why that was how I phrased it. But anyways, I figured I figured you would get that one right. If nothing else, like, you know, you would know it wasn't a cannon. Uh but you know, the main the sensor makes the most sense with that one, and I figured you could probably at least narrow it down to you know, get a decent guess on it. How annoying is it, David, when you can see the scene in your head, but can't always like guess what the answer is? Pretty annoying. You got it right, so you
Yeah.
haven't had that context, but you know.
But I mean, I'm glad I waited for you to give the answers because I about just blurted out the
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 dish.
The satellite dish, and you 100% would have counted that wrong.
Oh yeah, because just you wouldn't yeah, it wouldn't have been right. Um, it's wrong because it's wrong, David. It's not right. All right. So, um, here's the next question. Who was the medicine man in Bright Tree Village? Was it A, Sadji, B, Coley, C, Logray, or D, Lana?
What?
You
What?
know what Bright Tree
How?
you know what
How?
Tree
How
Village
am
is,
I
right?
supposed to know which Ewok is
There
the
we go.
medicine man?
Um, I don't know, just think of one that you recognize and tell me their name.
Lowry, or whatever his name was. C.
See, it's Logray. It's not
Okay.
Lowry. All right, this isn't Mark Lowry's comedy channel.
Okay. Low
Uh,
grade. Whatever his name is.
all right. And why do you come to that conclusion?
I'm just taking a shot in the dark.
Oh, okay. Well, every time you take a shot in the dark, you got like some chance of hitting something, and you just hit the right answer. So, you know what, David? I'm impressed.
Oh.
Yeah. The force is intermittently with you. Go ahead and look up Logray because you will recognize him. Uh, it spelled exactly how I say it, Logray. Um, but yeah, go ahead and look him up because you will recognize him. But no idea that that was his name.
Oh, he's the guy
But
with the
now you
skull
do.
on his head.
Yeah, yeah. And apparently he's some kind of like not only is he supposed to be the medicine guy, he's also like some kind of tribe leader or something like
Yeah, I was about to
that.
say, I thought he was like the chief.
So let's see. I mean, he might be a little bit of both, but oh yeah. He served as the chief shaman of Brighttree in the tribe. So maybe a little bit of a spiritual leader, but you also got to think about it like this is a tribal setting. The lead like spiritual guide probably would do something when it comes to like medicine. Like, even if it's like more seen as ritualistic, like it probably would be um, you know, something in that capacity. All right. So, David, these next one, two, three, four questions, I believe, ought to be pretty easy for you to figure out. Only because I don't have tabs open for them, and yeah, so you should be able to get these. All right. So in The Empire Strikes Back, all right, we're on Hoth, right, before the rebels leave the base. Han and Chewie are working on the Falcon. Okay, so question. What did Han Solo ask Chewbacca to bring him when he was trying to repair the hyperdrive motivator? A. A coupling. B. A hydrospanner. C. A negative ionizer. Or D. A dampening axis.
Read him again.
A. I'm going to do we'll just do them in order so I don't confuse anything. A coupling, a hydrospanner, a negative a negative ionizer, a dampening axis. No cheating. No cheating. Cheating is not allowed.
I feel like it's either A or B, I feel like.
Got to come to a conclusion.
Because I know Han has mentioned both of those at some point in the original trilogy. A spanner and a coupling.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember which one he asks
Man,
Chewie for
imagine being
in
able to see the scene in your mind and hear both of them being said in that scene, but only one's right. Well, not necessarily one of the ones that you're going for, but only one of the answers on this four is right. You
Okay,
can't start.
be a spanner.
Okay. So let's see. I would love to tell you that you were wrong, but you were right. All right, David. You're making up for lost time on getting these right. It was a hydro spanner. Or yeah, hydro. All right, David, you know what? This one's because I like you and I'm nice, and not because ChatGPT randomly spat out this number. Um, what? Wait, wait. No. Oh, here we go. What?
That was a sneeze.
That was you. Okay, I'm confused. Because it sounded like a woman talking.
What?
Confused. Okay, David. Hard question here. We're in the Revenge of the Sith era. What news did Padme have for Anakin when he returned from rescuing Chancellor Palpatine from Grievous's ship? David, do you need options?
Anakin, something wonderful has happened.
David, you're wrong. That wasn't what she told him. That
It
was an
was that
easy one
she's
for you.
pregnant.
Okay, fine. I'll go back. You over here trying to you over here trying to get theatrical with me. I want a yes or no question.
What?
Give me what I want, David, or I'm gonna cancel you. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with. All right, David, you're on a roll. You've gotten the last four in a row right. Okay, all the pressure is on as we go into this next question. Can you make it five in a row? And we'll have two questions left. Can you make it six in a row? You had a rough start. You got two wrong in a row, but you're off to a great you're ending it real good here with four in a row. Let's see if you can make it five with this question here. I guarantee you won't. What did Wicket witness that helped the Ewoks in the Battle of Endor? I didn't look this one up because I would have to watch the movie. Okay, so was it A, the location of the Imperial troops, B, the access code to the bunker shield generator, to the shield generator bunker, my bad. Is it C, Darth Vader landing on Endor, or D, an ATST stumbling off the Yawari cliffs? So which of those did Wicket witness that helped the Ewoks in the Battle of Endor?
Someone off the URI quest? Is that what the last one was?
Yeah, an ATST stumbling off the Yawari cliffs.
I'm going to say A, the location of the Imperial troops.
I'll answer.
Yes.
Okay. You would think so, but apparently it's an ATST stumbling off the Yawari cliffs. How
When
does
was
that help?
this?
I don't actually know, and again, I didn't look this up, but let me look this up. So let's see, we got two, uh, one. See this little thing down here, has all the questions, and then you can like put in the number and guess it. But if you hit D, it gives you the little bell that says, "Hey, you got it right." So that's what I based it off of. And most of these I fact checked, but this is a movie thing. I'm assuming that I have not ever noticed. I don't remember there being a cliff in the movie where an ATST
I was
falls
about to
off.
say I think I remember like one tripping over vines or something, but I don't
Yeah,
remember it falling off a cliff.
yeah. So I'm not exactly 100%. I'm a little confused about that one. Um, but nonetheless, David, you're wrong. So that's all that matters to me. Let's see. And then we got one last question. One last question here. And David, your streak is ruined. So can you end on a high note or are you going to end on a low note? Um, I think you should get this. I think you should get this without any options. What do Mustafarians use as mounts, as in like to ride around? What animal do they use to ride around? Can you guess this without getting options?
Go ahead and give me options. Humor me.
Okay, you'll get it. I don't want to humor you. You're humorless. Okay. Is it A, Mustafar lava dogs, B, Mustafar lava fleas, C, Mustafar lava grue, Mustafar, or D, Mustafar lava beasts?
Isn't it the lava fleas?
I mean, I'm asking you the questions here, David.
I'm pretty sure it's the lava fleas.
That's nice.
That's my final answer. Lava
Okay,
fleas.
cool. Thank you. I didn't realize that you were done guessing. Okay. Yes, David, it is lava fleas. I figured you might have been able to get it because not too long ago we read the Dark Disciple book, and in those they mention lava fleas and ride them, and they're a decent part of the book there for a minute, and so that was what came to my mind first when I saw this question and everything. So David, you got mail. No, you actually got one, two, three, four, five, six right, four wrong. So you did get over 50%. I'm impressed. Some of those were shots in the dark, but you know what? I mean, you gotta take what you can get, and I am not proud of you because
In
I'm
in the
not your
in the
daddy,
words
but
in the words of Dr. Doofenshmirtz, you get what you get and you don't get upset.
exactly. But yep, David, that is something that I would like to do. And obviously we can get better at how we do it, and maybe you can get better at answering them. But anyways, who knows? Maybe not. I mean, 6-4, that's a decent regular season. So, let's move on over to the postseason, talking about the main topic of this video, Thrawn Ascendancy, and let's see. Yeah, talking about Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising, the Thrawn Ascendancy trilogy. This is the first book. Oddly enough, that's the one we started with. And yeah, so David, uh, I'm gonna take a sip of water, and you can interject.
Long time ago, beyond a galaxy far, far away.
Are we just reading the book? What's going on here?
No, I just think it's interesting. That's how it starts.
Yeah, it
Instead
is
of
interesting.
instead of a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, it's a long time ago beyond a galaxy far, far away.
I also find it interesting that so the Chiss. So this takes place before Thrawn joins the Empire. He's still with the Chiss. It's as him becoming the guy that we know later on. Um, and some of the stuff that he's dealt with. But anyway, so he's in the Chiss ascendancy. And everything. But it's interesting because they don't consider where they're at the unknown regions. Obviously because they know where they're at. They consider everything else what do they call it? Uh Wild space. No, what do they call basically where the Star Wars galaxy is? It's They call it something specific. More than just like wild space or the unknown regions. They have another name for it. Um
First thing that jumps to mind is the chaos, but I thought that was like the space around where they are.
Maybe. But anyways, it's interesting because obviously because they're in a different spot in the universe, it's interesting to see how they talk about where they're at and what's going on
It's
elsewhere.
also very interesting too. So before we get into a lot of this stuff, so this book was obviously written by Timothy Zahn, who wrote the
Yes.
original Thrawn trilogy. Um, which also Wait, okay, and you have it in the notes here. It's published by uh Del Rey, which I think Del Rey has published most of the Star Wars novels. I
Hmm.
think it's either Del Rey or Dark Horse
And it came out.
that's published.
Dark Horse. I think Dark Horse is usually comic books, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think they do publish some regular books too. But
Okay. Came out in
um,
September of 2020.
yes, yes, and this is canon.
Hmm. Yes.
Um, Now one thing I have heard about this book that I do, or that this trilogy that I do a little bit agree with is a lot of people love the character of Thrawn, but don't like it when he's the main character. You lose some of the intrigue and some of the mystique about the character.
I Okay, that's fair. Do you really see Thrawn as the main character in this? In this book, and I already went ahead into the second one, and I don't think that he's necessarily the main character. Specifically in the second book, I was going through it, and there's some points where you kind of forgot. You're like, wait a minute, isn't this supposed to be about Thrawn? And like they have so many points where you're not focused
That is
on
that
Thrawn.
is fair because I feel like it follows Thalias a lot too.
Yes, yes. It follows Thalius, and it follows some of the the other sides of things. We'll get into some of that. Let's get through some of this
Now,
like early stuff with the book, and then
also,
we'll dive into
yeah,
the
also I
writing of
can
it.
you can I was gonna say you can very much tell too the writing style is Timothy Zahn.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yes, but it's also it's in all the best ways. Like
Yes,
this
I
is
don't
really
I don't mean that
well
in a
done.
bad way. Honestly, and okay, then again, it might be because we've read more Timothy Zahn books so far on the podcast. But
Hmm.
honestly, so far, he might be my favorite author that we've read.
I like um I like 'cause I've read a couple more of them. I like James Luceno. I was trying to remember who wrote the Plagueis novel. He's written a couple other ones that I've read. He's really good as well.
Mm,
I was listening. I've listened to a ton of audio Star Wars books that we've talked about. That's how I usually listen to the ones that we talk about. And I've also listened to a ton that we have not talked about that I would maybe like to eventually talk about. I finally came across one. I was sitting there, I was like, do I just like these because it's Star Wars and I can't find fault in Star Wars? Like, is that what this is? And I came across one that I did not care for, an audiobook. And it was not because of the way it was presented through the audiobook, it was the story itself that I did not care. It was a little bit off. I hadn't actually finished it, but it's Red Harvest. It's written by someone
mm,
different. I forget the guy who wrote it. He has another book that is supposed to be semi-connected with it that I might end up trying to get through just because I'd like to know what it was. But it's by Joe uh Gibber, something like that. And I don't care for his writing style. And it made me think, I was like, okay, so then I really do like James Lucento and Matt and Timothy Zahn and let me see who some of these other writers are.
Drew Carpisham.
Uh, Drew Carvisher. Also one that I've read a couple books from. Sean Williams. Let's
Mm,
see. He did he did the Force Unleashed books. He also did an old Republic one called Fatal Alliance. Drew Carpenter, he does a great job with a lot of what he does. And then there's one, so there's a Legends Kenobi book that, man, it was really, really good. And this is a writer that I've not seen any other stuff from or listened to anything else from or read anything else from, but it's John Jackson Miller. Like he did a really good job with that one. Um, but but yeah, I think Luceno and Zahn, Timothy Zahn, both have really good writing styles. I've always liked the way that they go about telling their stories.
mm,
Timothy Zahn does an interesting job because he brings in multiple characters and and then he balances between them. But I find it interesting he won't bring in characters right at the beginning just to introduce the character. He brings them in right when something to them is going to start happening, like when it's important to bring them in. So like think about it this way. So people credit Lucas with A New Hope when he doesn't introduce Luke until like, probably 20 minutes or more into the movie. But it's not important for Luke to be around until the droids get sold and is like he shows up. They don't you don't need to see Luke at the beginning of the movie to be
Because
like,
I
"Oh,
think
this is the character we're going to meet." You don't meet him
because I
till
think
later.
original yeah because I think
Same for Han.
originally Luke there was a scene where Luke was like looking up seeing the space battle.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like that's not
But
necessary. You don't need that.
yeah, no.
Characters don't get introduced until they're important to the story. And
Think
Timothy Zahn
about
does that
in
as well.
think about in Heir to the Empire. Like, okay, yes, a lot of the characters were introduced pretty early, but like think about when like Lando was reintroduced.
Mhm.
It was much later in the book, and it wasn't until Lando was needed in the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely like that about the way that Timothy Zahn writes, and at least the way that he wrote these books. Now these books obviously take place before the original Timothy Zahn Thrawn trilogy. This is it takes place around 19 BBY, so we're looking at right around the time of the Clone Wars, right before the Empire or the Republic turns into the Empire. Now, this book's set up very interestingly, and this is another thing where Timothy Zahn does a great job of balancing things. So we start off in around 19 BPY. When we start off, Thrawn is already a senior captain. He's senior
Mm.
Captain Thrawn. Okay, but this book and this series goes over a lot of how he gets to that point, and um, so there's memories is what they call them. So the different chapters that are titled memories. They got memories 1 through, I believe it's like, I have it here somewhere. Like 9, 10, 11, 12. What do we got? That's
How many dashes we
13.
got there? 13?
um so yeah, there's 13 of those and they go back in time and the memories are set in 39 BPY and that's when Thrawn is first starting to kind of like he's a private or what's it called? He's a
That
what- cadet. That's what I was looking for. He's a cadet and working his way up and everything. Um, they also introduce him becoming Thrawn, and what I mean by that is what his name is at the beginning of the book. So Thrawn's full name is actually Mithron Nerodo, because he is of the myth, a family in the Ascendancy, one of the nine, which is what we referenced earlier. Um, but his born name was Kiv Ronro, or his core name, which instead of Thrawn was Veron, because their family uh, decides how their name is, basically. Um,
so the basically with the myth names, it's so like Mithron Niroto is all one word with a apostrophe separating out the different sections. So it's myth apostrophe raw apostrophe Naruto.
mhm,
And the the first bit, the myth bit, is the family name. Same thing with Kivu. That was the family name. So Kivu Ra Nuru, Kivu Ra Nuru was Thrawn's original myth name. And then, Mithron Naruto was his name after he became a myth. Um, but that middle section, so the last syllable of the family name, the middle section, and then the first syllable of the last section is their core name. So myth, take the th from myth, the raw from the middle section, and then the n from Nurado, and that's Thrawn.
Yeah,
And
and it's
that's the case
go ahead.
for all the myth names we see in the
I
book.
say we see here in a minute we get to another character. Thalius is her name, but she is one of the myth as well, and her name is Myth Eliastova Stove
Mythaliastov.
Miliastov. That's what it is. I knew they had said it, and I couldn't remember what it was.
Mm.
But you got Myth Al how'd you pronounce that last part?
Myth
Estov.
Ali Astov.
Estov. So, you got that, and if you take the last two, TH and Ali, and then AST, or AS, I guess it all is, you get the name. But it's interesting to see that that's how they go about doing it. And yeah, so we have the same thing with uh one of the other members of the family.
Mm.
Now, the family structure is very interesting. They get into it a little bit. I think they get into it more in the next book, I believe. Maybe not. I cross some. Here's the thing, David. Sometimes I get through these quick enough, and I want to continue the story, and then I get done with the next story, and I'm like, well, now I'm tired of listening to this, and then I'm like, well, wait, what happened in one, and what happened to the other? Which is why I try to
Mm.
take
Now,
notes.
one interesting thing I do think we need to touch on
Mhm.
is all this takes place in what we generally know as the unknown regions.
Mhm.
So this is a region of the galaxy that's very hard to navigate and very treacherous to navigate, mainly because there are no stable hyperspace lanes.
Yeah.
We get to this point, and why? So because there are no stable hyperspace lanes, anyone traveling long distances to be able to not have to just like I think it mentioned this in one of the Bane novels of when he went to the core of the galaxy. He had to do a bunch of small jumps to
Yeah.
not because there were no stable hyperspace lanes again.
Yeah.
Same concept here. You would have to do a bunch of small jumps to get anywhere.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would crash and burn.
So, anyone traveling needs a navigator. And there's this whole thing called the Navigators Guild, which basically there's these people who are. The book doesn't really spell it out, but essentially force sensitive.
Yeah.
They draw on what they call the Great Presence, which is the Force,
Yeah.
basically.
Different side of the
And
universe, different name for the Force, but all the same
yeah,
thing.
yes. And they're able to tap into the Force to be able to navigate through these ever changing hyperspace lanes.
They make some comments at some point where it's like, the character that you're getting to here in a little bit, um, they talk about, oh, she can see people, like she knows people are coming in the room before it happens because again,
Mm.
she's force sensitive, she can tell that. So that's the same thing when it comes to like how she's navigating. If something's gonna
Now,
get in the way, she can steer the ship out of the way.
now that is another interesting point too. We get a very interesting thing with navigators and the Chiss. So
Hmm.
the Chiss don't actually have any navigators. Or so they want you to think.
Yeah.
So a
Much more
very
well guarded
closely guarded
secret.
secret about the Chiss
We're about to
is
spill it all over the internet. Ooh!
the Skywalkers. So
Yeah.
basically the Skywalkers are young girls who are force sensitive. And they
I'm
don't really
curious
explain they don't really
because
explain it a whole
go
lot,
ahead.
but it almost the way they explain it almost appears that the Skywalkers lose their ability to tap into the Force as they get older.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because we had our character. So the Skywalker who we follow throughout the series, like active Skywalker, is her name is Cheery. Um, but Thalius is also a previous Skywalker. Now, the way that they go about giving that is like most Skywalkers become Skywalkers around the ages of like 6, 7, something like that, maybe a little younger sometimes, and they last as Skywalkers up until about 14, and that's
Mm,
how old they are when they stop being Skywalkers. Um, and So yeah, they kind of lose their connectivity to the Force in some ways. They don't go into it that much. I don't understand why, and I don't know if they ever do explain why. But it's an interesting thing that ends up happening. One thing also I don't know if they necessarily explain is I wonder why it's just girls. You know,
mm,
they mention that is a specific thing that they mention is that it is all girls. I wonder is it that there are no men who end up being force sensitive, or if they don't really care if the men are force sensitive because they want them in other roles.
mm. Yeah, I'm not sure because it is definitely very. It is definitely very interesting. The fact that there are only the only Skywalkers we see are female, and maybe that's
Hmm.
something with the Chiss, where like the men don't really get force sensitive. I don't know.
Yeah,
Perhaps that might be something explained further in further books.
I do want to make the distinction here that the fact that they are called um, Skywalker, it is not the same. I mean, it's spelled exactly the same, but they have a hyphen in there, and it's supposed to mean like, in a sense, someone who walks the skies. Like that's
Mm.
kind of the gist of it,
And
not necessarily
yeah,
just like yeah.
I mean, okay, it is a reference, and I haven't really figured out the purpose of it yet, but it is a reference.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um,
I do think there
and it's
is a deeper meaning to it being a reference, but I haven't figured
mhm,
that out yet.
yeah, it is interesting because we do end up seeing Thrawn going to the main Star Wars universe and coming across uh, Anakin. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But um, anyway, so he comes across him and he introduced himself as Anakin Skywalker. So someone who he meets that is force sensitive, having the name Skywalker, it's an interesting, you know, thing to
Mm.
happen.
But
Um,
anyway,
I was looking at this. Okay, so this says Skywalkers were Chiss children, most always female, and usually between the ages of 7 and 14. So not always, I guess. Uh, through former Skywalker Thalius. Oh wait a minute. That might be a spoiler. No wait, that's not a spoiler. I don't know. This doesn't actually give any details besides what little we have in the book. So I think this is all the knowledge that we have. Another thing is so whenever they're navigating, they call it third sight
mm,
when they kind of go delve into the force to be able to sense things while they're navigating. It is called third sight. But it is interesting because the Chiss have their own name for what they just talk about with the force, and there's another uh clan or species. I think it might be in the second book, but they kind of end up coming in and they have a completely different name for what the Force is. It's interesting to see because we're, as with Star Wars, we get to see such a honestly a narrow view of the universe in Star Wars because it's all focused on a couple different people from a couple different places, you know, and but there's like so much more to the Star Wars universe, and there's so much more like culture to like, and people, not everyone, like I think we talked about it one time with one of our like A New Hope breakdowns, where it was like, Han Solo didn't believe in the Force, and it's
Mm,
like, in all reality, if you lived in a galaxy far, far away, the Force and the Jedi would have been a religion that you saw
mm,
that people believed or didn't believe, because the galaxy is so wide spanning. Not everyone comes in contact with Jedi all the time, you know. Um, but like we would be like, oh, why don't you believe in the Force? That's crazy. It's not. But like, different people classify the same thing in different terms across the galaxy, and we see that a lot in this because this is a
mm.
completely different culture than we've seen in Star Wars before.
Yeah.
Any other characters you want to get to while we have these here? See, other characters that we have are Semco. Who is this? I don't remember who this is. We got Bakif. He is a another one of the like. Okay, so we got I don't remember how you pronounce his name, but basically we got the first officer on the Spring Hawk, which is Thrawn's ship. We got Bakif, which is a military leader of the Chiss. That's another interesting thing that we have is the high-ranking military officials are not part of the family, a specific family, because they don't want family politics to get in the way of like how those things are run. We have
The military itself almost becomes a family.
yeah, basically. We have how do you pronounce his name? Kalori, I think.
Glory. Yep.
He is one of the navigators from the Navigators Guild. The Pathfinders is, I think, what his specific guild is called. But anyway, so he's a navigator that comes up through the story. We have basically the main bad guy of this book, Yiv the Benevolent. Um and that's about it. We also have, I missed her name. There it is. We have Admiral Arlani,
Mm,
who is um, she's the admiral over Thrawn. Thrawn is a part of her fleet. Um, she is not. She's a lot like Thrawn in the sense that she will take chances and she trusts Thrawn, but uh, she's nowhere near as like Thrawn is Thrawn, and she does things like Thrawn. We'll put it that way. Sometimes she does things
mm.
like Thrawn. All right, you want to get into the story of it and kind of talk through that a little bit? Do you have other points you want to make? I will open the floor to you before we move to anything else.
No, we can jump straight into the story. Um, oh gosh, there's a lot of chapters. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
so
So
basically,
so
kind
I
of
said,
this.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Ba
Okay. So,
ba
ba
ba ba ba
ba
ba
ba
ba
ba
ba
ba
da
ba
ba
ba.
ba 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 da ba ba. All right, we're gonna get
Okay.
copyright
So,
by the Beach Boys.
um, so in the prologue, basically, it starts off right after an attack on the Chiss Ascendancy,
The
and
capital world.
yeah, the capital. So, Supreme General Bakif believes the Syndicure, or briefs the Syndicure, suspecting the assault may have been a diversion, while Thrawn is assigned to investigate a derelict ship near Dioa. So,
Now let's touch on this. So the Syndicure is basically the heads of the families, the nine ruling families, and they kind of are like the head government. Now, the head government does not have control over the military. The military is a separate thing in and of itself. They have their own leaders who make their own decisions. The Syndicate is more there to like advise and do stuff like that. But the Syndicate can also make it a living hell for people in the military if things don't go the way that they want to. So like there is a benefit to
Mm,
keeping the Syndicate happy.
yeah. Yes. So basically, this whole thing starts off kind of like a mystery of like, oh, what's going on? Who's behind this attack? What's going on?
Yeah, and what ends up General Bakif ends up thinking is basically, hey, maybe it wasn't an attack because they thought they could do anything because the attack didn't really make much sense. Like they attacked and they pulled out, they kind of faded back, and it was like, well, you could do that, but you lost so much in the fight. Why would you do that? So, anyways, but then Bakif is like, hey, maybe what it could be is it was a distraction. So he ends up finding that there's this ship wreckage attack that happened that got glossed over because of this attack on the Capitol. And he's like, oh, this probably is what was being covered up. All right, we need to go investigate this. I'm going to go get someone who I know can look at this and probably be very helpful. And the chapter ends with Bakif going to get Thrawn. Um,
Mm,
Now, the first chapter of this book is one of the memories. So right
yeah.
after the prologue, we jump back in
And
time.
yeah. So I'll read this because there's names. Um.
I don't know if
So
that's a good idea.
so yeah. So it starts off with one of the aristocra who's a
I feel
member
like
of the
because
Syndicure.
I feel like because of the fact that there's names, you shouldn't read it.
But yeah. So one of the members of the aristocra, uh, Mitherfian, yeah,
You could just go with
Mitherfian
Thurfian.
Mitherfian Eco, or Thurfian, meets Kivu Ranuru, or uh, Vuron, who later becomes Thrawn, obviously. After hearing of his abilities, Bakif recommends him a
Four,
for I don't know what that is. Haharim Academy,
something like that.
setting Thrawn on his path. So, um, I don't think this is to the point yet where we get to the.
Get to what?
Is this when Thrawn becomes merit adoptive, or is that Memories
Yeah,
too?
yeah. That is in this. They didn't
Okay,
mention
yeah,
it, and I didn't add it in. I kind of figured that it was more so when I put all this together, it was more so just a brief thing so that we could kind of remember what was
yeah.
happening in each
So
chapter.
Thrawn becomes a merit adoptive of the myth. So basically, he becomes a member of the myth family, but he isn't at the point yet where he's got any like stature among the family.
Maybe
He's
go through what
basically like
the maybe go through what the levels are to it.
so yes,
Or
there's the merit adoptive, which is the lowest of the lowest like member of the family. Then there's trialborn,
hmm
which at that point you become a full-fledged member of the family. Like a merit adoptive, the family can just choose to kick you out, strip you of your name.
And then
Um,
you have the trial born, which are people who pass certain trials. Um, Obviously makes sense per the name. And then you have
mhm,
bloodborn, which
yes,
are obviously people who are born into the family, like by actual blood.
yes.
I'm assuming. So, um, but anyways, so it was a little bit weird with the way that Thrawn ended up becoming part of the Myth family because there were like months of things to go through, months of thought and questioning and things to go through because the family doesn't want to just add people in willy nilly. They want to make sure that they know who they're getting involved with. And so Thurfian is taking Vron back to the Myth family compound. And on the way there, he gets a message saying that Thrawn has been approved, and he's
Mm,
stunned because he this is not normal. This is as abnormal as possible. But Thrawn becomes one right off the bat, and we learn a little bit more as to the reasonings behind stuff like this later on. But it's interesting to see just how quickly someone higher up was like, Thrawn, yes, I like that guy. We need to bring him in. Screw all the tradition. He's gonna be a merit adopted.
and we do learn a little more about this later on, but
Yeah, I do also want to mention with this too, and I think they start to kind of dive into this a little bit, is Thrawn is not concerned at all with politics. He also doesn't quite understand politics. Um, and it kind of is to his detriment at some points, but it's interesting to see that he struggles so much with that here because while yes, a lot of what he does later in the Empire is mostly uh militaristic. Um, he also like starts to learn that balance. I feel like by the time we get to that point of it, where it's like he has turned politics into the same chess match that he sees when he is, you know,
mhm,
directing a battle.
mhm.
You know,
So one thing I just happened to think of. You said these take place around 19 BBY, correct?
hmm
These books are supposed to be canon, aren't they? Don't we see Thrawn in Tales of the Empire during like the whole, or that I guess that's set after. Never mind.
Yeah. There's also a comic book, one that I've been briefly reading through periodically, and I don't know if it's canon. I believe it is because I believe it's a newer one, but it's where Thrawn first comes to the Empire and offers his services to the Emperor, and that would obviously take place after the Empire comes into command. So, um,
Yeah, well, I'm thinking Tales of the Empire that when he goes to Dathomir, that's not right. That's not directly after the
I don't think so.
siege of Dathomir. But
I'm pretty sure that that would have taken place like a little while after all the events.
yeah.
So, and I mean, here's the thing too. We have no idea where this trilogy ends, you
Mm,
know? Like it could end with him going to the main Star Wars universe and trying to join the Empire. We also have a lot of character arc for Thrawn to change because it's interesting. This character is supposed to be the same. Like, here's the thing: Timothy Zahn, when he wrote these, he wrote them so that they could be canonized. Like, he wrote them, made sure that things lined up with what was canon. Whereas, like the original Thrawn trilogy, because of when it was written, don't line up quite right. Um, but he wrote Thrawn to be the same character, you know. And also, if these are canon, then the Thrawn that we see in Ahsoka, this is supposed to be where he came from, you know? And this is not the same character that we see. He's changed. He's got different priorities, you know. Like the Thrawn that we see here, he's not a villain. He's like think about the scene where the in the original Thrawn trilogy where Thrawn has one of the tractor beam people killed, right?
mm,
Now, granted, Thrawn probably sees humans and other species outside of the Chiss differently, but that's not how he acts here in any capacity. He cares for life, you know. Now, granted, it's
well,
Chiss life, but he cares a
I was
little
about to
bit
say
more for it.
it is kind of already established that Thrawn doesn't view like they mentioned that several times that Thrawn
Mm,
doesn't really view non-Chiss as people.
yeah, more as like resources if need be.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
So
is it which
that I
is a
think is
thing.
where, yeah.
But I do think that there still is a lot to the character that needs to change for us to get to see him as the villain that he does end up becoming. Like Thrawn is
Mhm,
not outright the villain like you would think, but he is still there are still things where it's like that's not right kind of a deal. And he's not there yet, I don't feel like, personally.
mhm,
But anyways, that's
yeah.
neither here nor there. All I really wanted to get to with this was the fact that he is not exactly he doesn't deal with politics well, and that's a whole lot of this
Mhm,
book.
yeah.
Um,
But anyway, we probably need to get going because we've already been recording for a while.
yeah,
Yeah. So memories two, or sorry, no, we'd be chapter one.
chapter one.
Would be the next thing. Yeah. So Thrawn begins piecing together intelligence on the attack. I can read. Thrawn begins piecing together intelligence on the attackers. Political intentions rise. Political tensions rise as Syndicure members debate whether to keep him involved. So that's also another thing.
Dang,
The
dang, David.
Syndicure does not like Thrawn very well.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention. Dang, you can make two sentences feel like a paragraph. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So the
I can
Syndicure does
too, but I'm
not
gonna make
like
fun of
Thrawn.
you. So,
Yeah. So memories two. Why don't you go ahead and read that, Hotshot?
oh, at the academy, Thrawn quickly adapts to training, gaining a reputation for unorthodox and effective tactics. I think this is the
Yeah, well, you
chapter.
wrote it, so.
No, I didn't. ChatGPT did. I'm lazy. Uh, no, I don't actually know what it is because sometimes I sound like I'm talking out of my other rear end, when I'm reading, and then sometimes like I read and
Your
it's
other
like
rear end.
my other rear end. Yeah, it's
How
a
many do you
secret
have?
one. About four.
Hey, hold on.
The
Okay.
fact that this conversation literally was just bing bang boom, no thought process whatsoever, it's kind of impressive. But anyways, no. But like sometimes I'll be reading and like I can read and I'm like, wow. But you know how sometimes like have you ever had it where you read a sentence and you'll notice that you're reading it really well, but then you kind of get that feeling that you're like you're running, but your torso is ahead of your feet and you're about to fall flat on your face, you know?
Mhm.
Like I get that feeling sometimes where I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing really good. Oh no, I'm thinking about it too much."
And but it's the weirdest thing too is like okay, there were several chapters of this book that I actually did read. Like
Mhm.
I listened to most of it like on my way back and forth to work. But there
Yeah.
were several chapters I actually did read.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with that. But then as soon as you put me here reading out loud, it's like my tongue trips over my brain. It's
Yeah.
like
Well, I think too, like we're okay. There are different aspects to how our brains work, like with how we do things. But I would say like probably a lot of like when I read, um, I will skim over a page, but while I'm like two or three sentences down, my mind will be processing what I looked at two or three sentences up. So like,
mm,
and like it's not necessarily that I'm like reading it like because my brain will like switch things around or not read a word correctly or something like that. And so, but it doesn't matter nearly as much when I'm looking at it and I've already looked at it and then I'm down here trying to read what this is. My brain can like, oh, this is what this sentence was talking about. Oh, and this is what this sentence is talking about. Whereas like when I'm reading it, you're trying to actually read it like when you're reading it out loud, you're trying to read it properly as opposed
mm,
to processing it how your brain processes it, you know?
yeah, that's fair.
All right, hot shots, right back at you. All right,
Chapter
chapter
2.
2.
Thrawn meets Admiral Alani to plan strategy. Their mutual trust and camaraderie are evident.
Um, yeah, cool. I think what maybe we should do with this is we could read a brief description of what goes on in each one. These are very, very vague descriptions for it, but we can go through this. The general story is essentially we kind of find a little bit more of this about at the very end of the book, but there's someone trying to derail and overthrow the Chiss Ascendancy. Um, and essentially that's what this whole entire thing is. Now it's set up a lot like a mystery where things are constantly trying to be figured out. Um, and then it also is set up where it's like, okay, you're constantly flashing back and forth between flashbacks and modern
So
day, trying
okay,
to
so the
learn
an
how
important
things
thing
happened.
an important thing to understand about kind of the political landscape of this area of space is the fact that the Chiss Ascendancy is basically the superpower.
Yeah, yeah,
Like they're not interested in conquering other planets or um like, expanding their empire. They will fight back if provoked. But that's
yeah,
one thing they mention a lot is like it's Chiss law to not attack a ship unless provoked.
yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
the Chiss are still these like superpower in the area. And
mm,
so that's kind of like understanding that this other the people responsible for this attack are trying to overthrow the Chiss ascendancy,
yeah.
basically, as the superpower.
Mm. Yeah. And so it's constantly going back and forth between all this. Thrawn ends up going out on some long-reaching mission to try and figure out more about this shipwreckage that happened. Now, I do find it also interesting. They dedicate a whole memories to it. One time, let's see if I can find where it is. Maybe they don't, or they do. They do have it. I just don't know if it would be in this little breakdown here. But there's a whole entire memories dedicated to uh Admiral Arlani and Thrawn back a while back, where Thrawn proves to Arlani just how perceptive he is within the forms of art. So he tells her, he says, I know I can read an entire people based off of their artwork.
Mm,
And he proves that to her. And not only does he prove it to her in a museum where possibly he hasn't, possibly he could have looked up some of this information, he proves it to her by looking at some of her artwork and then besting her in her fight.
mm,
And he shows her that he can read people and he starts to gain that reputation. And that's why at the beginning of the book, uh, um, Bakif gets Thrawn because he wants Thrawn to look at all this stuff and be able to analyze it and help them figure things out. And it's interesting because, like, it's talked about like Thrawn is the Sherlock Holmes of the Star Wars universe. He is a genius, and he can be, like he's 3 steps ahead. Like his battle tactics are a little strange sometimes, but they work and always come out on top. Like he knows what they're gonna do when he does something, and he
mm,
makes sure. Like I think with the first battle that we see, Thrawn breaks off from the fleet to draw attention so that the rest of the fleet can blindside them. Like he does things that seem sometimes crazy, but it ends up working. And that's why it was so
mm,
interesting in the original Thrawn trilogy to see how Thrawn was defeated. He was defeated because he was betrayed,
mm.
which is probably the only way someone close to Thrawn betraying him is probably one of the few ways that
Well, I
Thrawn can
mean,
be defeated.
look at in actual canon in Rebels.
Hmm.
I know it's kind of a spoiler for, when we get to this, when we actually talk about Rebels, but I think it's very fitting that Ezra is the one to defeat Thrawn. I mean, he didn't really defeat him, he just with the Purgil and everything, but Ezra is honestly very unpredictable, so
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
honestly fair. I feel like that works.
Yeah. And like you said, it wasn't even necessarily defeating him. It was more so just like kind of overwhelming him a little bit with the Purgle, and then just like, all right, we're out of here. You know.
Mm,
Um, but it's like one of those things where I'm interested as Ahsoka season 2 goes around, and then possibly we get our own like Thrawn movie and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with Thrawn because Thrawn is not your typical villain. He is not going to go blow for blow with with the Jedi or with anyone else. Like, yes, Thrawn can handle himself. We see that sometimes some in Rebels where he practices martial arts and stuff like that. He can handle himself, but he's much more of the tactical genius. He's going to sit there, he's going to dissect you, he's going to figure out where your weak points are, and he's going to put a lot of pressure on those weak points.
Mm,
And he is extremely hard to beat. You can't really outthink him. So I wonder how they end up doing that because like the thing is you can't make Thrawn this big genius throughout all the media, and then also in canon you can't make him throughout Rebels, and then throughout Ahsoka. You can't make him up to be this big genius, and then have him slip up somewhere, and that's how you defeat him. Like you can't make him an idiot at the end. You have to beat him in a way that makes everything else make sense. Like you can't be the regular villain that all of a sudden makes a misstep because Thrawn doesn't make missteps. You have
mm.
to do it where Ezra Bridger, the unpredictable, finds a way to defeat him. You have to make it where someone close to him that he trusts turns on him and kills him. Like that's the only way that you can have your cake and eat it too, basically.
Mm. I mean, you think about the Thrawn trilogy, and really, without the what are they called?
Uh, um, uh, is it the Nick Cardoon? No,
No, the
that's this one. The Negrodu. No, it's I know you're talking about.
like Rook's species.
Yeah. Um, what are they called?
Nogri, the Nogri.
No, agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, I just couldn't remember that. But yeah, you think about it, and if it weren't for the Nogri,
Mm.
the New Republic wouldn't have won.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very
Because,
true.
like, honestly, if the Nogri hadn't figured out that Leia was Vader's daughter,
Hmm.
they would have captured her, brought her to Sabaoth, which I think Sabaoth was the one mistake Thrawn made.
Yes. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this Thrawn book.
Yeah. And hey, here's the thing. I know in episodes past we do go through the deep details of the book and like the story and everything like that. One, we're semi pressed for time in the sense that we don't want to have a 9-hour podcast. Um, but two, like I don't know, we are having decent conversation about this one way or another without diving too far into the actual book. I mean, if you want to go read the book, you can get it off Amazon, you can get it at bookstores, you can get the audio version off of Audible. Like
Yeah,
it's
I
a
will
great
say
read.
I ended up
Um,
getting I found the first one and the third one at a used bookstore for like I think I got them both for like $7. They're
oh,
hardcover,
that's
and
great.
then I ordered the second one off Amazon. It was on sale, so you can catch these, get a good deal on them, and they're nice
Oh yeah,
hardcover,
yeah,
nice, really really good display books. So I would recommend if you can find them cheap, get them. But I would recommend reading these because they are.
Really
Very
good.
good.
And the thing is like it doesn't really matter. Like here's the thing. All the books that we listen to, read, and go over in these podcasts, like if you're not a huge Star Wars fan, they're still great reads, and a, they deepen the Star Wars universe. They add more to it. They give more context for characters, and all in honesty, they're stories of unto themselves. You know, you don't have
Honestly,
to know
especially
that much.
es-
You could start with what we're reading with any of these books, and still find it being a good story, and not know that much about Star Wars, like outside of
especially
it.
with especially with these books, they're so disconnected from the rest of the Star Wars universe. You honestly could read these and not have never watched any Star Wars movie and be fine.
Yeah, yeah. So just if any of this intrigues you, anything that we're talking about interests you, like I would go check it out. They're great books. Mark Thompson is the narrator for these books. Mark Thompson does a great job. He reads a
He
ton of the
also
books that
read
we
the
listen to.
yeah, he also read the original Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah.
Um,
Mark
yeah,
Thompson, and there's another guy that I like listening to, um, who does a lot of the other ones, that I don't remember what his name is. I want to see if I can find him. But anyways, yeah, they have some real good, um, the Audible does a great job when they produce these books. And another guy, oh, Jonathan Davis. Jonathan Davis is another guy that I like. He did the Bane trilogy. He
yes,
does a good
yes.
job with a ton of the books. But yeah, I mean they do great jobs with this. They're very cinematic with how they do it. It's very well done. Great listen, and then the book itself is a great story. So if you read the book itself, it's still good there too. Like it you don't have to have the cinematic way of an audible book. You can get the book itself because it's just a good story.
Mhm. So yeah, Mark Thompson also did the audiobook for Dark Disciple.
Mhm. He
Um,
probably did some of the Old Republic books too.
yeah, and like you said, Jonathan Davis did um the Bane trilogy.
You know,
Mark, mm,
I might prefer Jonathan Davis as a voice actor. Mark Thompson does a great job. I think Jonathan Davis. I think I
I
prefer his voice a little bit better.
I did notice too, some of the voices in this book he reused some of the voices he did for the original
Yeah,
Thrawn trilogy.
yeah, I
Like
did notice
what is
that.
it? General
His first
Bakif
his
is
first
the
captain
same
too.
as but
That's a
General
very familiar
Bakif is
voice.
the same as what's the guy that is introduced in Dark Force Rising? Who's like the old senator?
I don't remember. I don't. It's been a
Uh,
while. It's been almost a year.
Beliblis.
Oh, Bear Lip. Oh, yeah. I can see that. Yeah, that's fair.
Same voice he used for Bakif and Beliblis. But
Speaking of that, yeah, I don't know where the context for any of this comes from, but some of the voices are interesting, like within like the accents that they have, and it's like all within the Chiss ascendancy, but like some of them have like completely different accents, and I'm like, I wonder where the choice to read it like that came from, you know? Like Admiral Alalani, like her voice, like where did the choice to have her have that kind of an accent come from?
mm,
Or like,
she's almost got kind of like a she's almost got kind of like like not necessarily maybe more Spanish accent
I was
ish.
thinking more like Russian.
Yeah,
Maybe more a little bit like Russian is what
may,
I was thinking.
yeah, maybe more Eastern European. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah,
Yeah, it's like in Doctor Who. Lots of planets have a north. Huh. You have a northern accent. Lots of planets have a north. So maybe lots of planets have a Russia. I don't know. It's just an interesting choice, and I didn't know where the context would be from that. But I mean, all in all, like great books. Read them. Yeah, we don't always have to go over the story beat for beat, but like it's still worth it for you to listen to it. Maybe sometimes it's better if we don't go over it beat for beat and we kind of go over a general overview. So it's like listen to it, get interested if it's something you might find interesting. Listen to the book, then come back and be like, oh, now I understand certain parts of this that I maybe didn't understand to begin with.
Mm.
Um,
But I do think it is very, very much so a Timothy Zahn book.
oh
Like,
yeah.
I know I mentioned that at the beginning. Like, his writing style, especially just the way he has, like, oh, during the middle of it, he had, like, several different, like, these characters are over here, these characters are over here, these characters are over here,
Mhm.
and there's all these different plot lines going on, and then they all converge.
And sometimes it's really cool. Like, so this one is set up as a mystery in a
Mm,
lot of sense. You're constantly trying to figure through things. Like with Thrawn, you're following Thalius. I think I would consider Thalius to be one of the more main character than Thrawn. Because the thing is Thalius and Thrawn are in the same area. So whenever Thalius is around, Thrawn is around too in those parts of the book. And Thalius is the one who's focused on. You see her thoughts, you don't see Thrawn's thought nearly as much, which makes me believe you're seeing it from Thalius's point of view, making her the main character, and Thrawn is a main character in the book, but he's not the main character. You're following
hmm
Thalius, you're following Cheery, you're following Admiral Aralani, you're following what's his name, Thurfian. You're following these characters and their different subsects of the book, subsections of the book, but Thrawn is a part of it. Thrawn is the main line going through, but I don't see him as the main character in this. And I think
mm,
that's why it works so well, because like you said, he's not he's not like his character arc, like he's not having that throughout this
mm,
book. All the other characters are having their arcs. Thrawn is a stagnant character, but it works because while while he goes through the book, you're not having to see this character who's staying stagnant. You're following Thurfian, Aralani, and Thalius, who have their own arcs and things
mm.
and failures and more relatable as characters. And I think it makes it really good. It's also interesting too. I think I read a review or two um, about these books where they were like, yeah, hey, the the voice acting was great, but the story, meh, the story wasn't the greatest. Maybe there's too many plot lines to it. I think is one thing that I saw. And it's like, okay, there are a lot of plot lines going on, but I think personally, Timothy Zahn does a phenomenal job handling all those plot lines
Mm.
in a very cohesive, in a very easy to understand and easy to follow format. Like I think he does a great job with it. Like Timothy Zahn is an amazing writer. He does an amazing job with these books. If he could write some more Star Wars books, that'd be great. I don't think that
There
he
are some
will.
more that he has written. I know he's written. Actually, there was a list of them in the back here. So obviously the original Thrawn trilogy, um, Spectre of the Past, Visions of the Future, Survivor's Quest, Outbound Flight, which is a prequel to the original Thrawn trilogy. Um, Allegiance, Choices of One, and Scoundrels. I actually have Scoundrels. Actually, I might have Survivor's Quest too. Uh, I do have Survivor's Quest. Yes, I do. Okay. Yes, I have Scoundrels and Survivor's Quest. And then also Thrawn Alliances, and Thrawn Treason, which takes place it's a canon Thrawn trilogy that takes place during his Empire days.
So I'm assuming we'll probably get to that eventually.
Yeah, probably.
Um, well, the thing about this is like, and I get it. That's his character. Thrawn is his character. But I would like to see him write about other eras, other characters,
Well,
stuff like that, because I think his
that's why I
style
think
works very well.
Scoundrels. I haven't read it yet, but I do have the book. I think that's going to be good because that's about Lando and Han during
Mm,
the Empire.
that probably is. That probably would be good. Um, but I mean, yeah, he's a great writer, and this is a great book. The second one I've gone ahead and read some of that too. It just continues. It does a really good job with it.
Mm,
Um, but like the way that he fleshes out the story, I think that's another thing too with this is like this is a trilogy. So there's an overarching story in
mm,
these all three books. but he concludes each book in its own way, you know? Like there's more going on, there's more mystery to be solved, but the mystery of this book is solved by the end of it, you know?
Mm.
And I really like that about this. Like it leaves you with wanting more, just enough to where you're going to read the next book and you want to know find out what's happening, but also leaves you satisfied with how this book concluded. And I think that's a very
See, I think that's
big thing with this.
Timothy Zahn did the same thing with the original
Hmm.
Thrawn trilogy. He
Yes,
would wrap everything up, answer all the loose ends, but in the finale, let's say like in the finale of Heir to the Empire, he also added more questions that would
yeah,
get resolved in Dark Force Rising. In the finale of
exactly,
Dark Force Rising, he wrapped up all those questions, but then added more that would be resolved in Last Command.
exactly. And yes, he does a very good job with that. Uh, his
Mm,
it works out very well.
yeah,
I have nothing
and
bad to say about his writing.
uh, again, personally, you might have a different opinion, but personally, I really enjoyed this book mainly because we're back to Timothy Zahn. And so far, I think the original Thrawn trilogy has been my favorite books that we've read.
Hmm.
I know you really like the Plagueis novel. You probably really like the Bane novels too, which those were
Hmm.
very good. But
Yeah,
the Thrawn trilogy so far has been my favorite.
I like the writing of Timothy Zahn to where it's like I like the Thrawn trilogy, but I think era wise, I'm much more intrigued by Old Republic things, and that's why
Mm,
I would lean towards okay, I like the Plagueis novel because it takes place before Phantom Menace.
mm.
Same with stuff like the Bane trilogy, and then you have like Revan, the Revan book as well,
Also
which is one
written
we
by Drew
haven't talked
Karpyshyn.
about. But yes, also written by Drew Karpyshyn. He does a great job with that book too.
Mm,
But I think that would be the reason that I would say, like, I don't know if I would say it's my favorite book of the like
mm.
favorite books, but I do have a lot of respect for them, and I do
I
really like the way that they are
I
written.
think I also like the fact that it is just like forget about everything but the original trilogy, and it continues from there.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
do kind of like that, but again, I also really like the Clone Wars era. Like, I one that we don't talk about a lot that we have talked about is Dark Disciple. I think
mhm.
Dark Disciple was really good,
Oh yeah,
but again, it's just I think every book that we have talked about for the podcast has been good.
yeah. And I kind of try, and you might do the same with this. Is like sometimes I'll like some of the recommendations that I have for things that we should read and talk about on the channel. Um, I've already listened to and have
Mm,
gone over, and it's like I'm recommending it because it's good. And there are things that like I'm also trying to listen to. Like, okay, we might eventually look into some other obscure things like Red Harvest, which is a book that I read that I'm not caring for right now. And it's like I'm gonna probably say steer clear of that one as long as we can. If we want to talk about eventually down the road, that's
mm.
fine. But
And
like I want to steer clear of it because it's not exactly
yeah,
something that I'm finding enjoyable.
and I know like I generally have tried to stick to like themes, like especially right now
Hmm.
because we're going through Rebels. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about Ahsoka. We're because again next time, so in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about Rebel season 3, which introduces Thrawn. So we're very like centric with the theme currently.
Yeah. 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 And that is one thing we do have to figure out some of the Old Republic themes
Yeah,
because
we
they don't
we
fit in as
probably will try to jump back to the Old Republic at some point, maybe later this
mm,
year. I don't know
yeah.
what we're planning on talking about after Ahsoka.
Maybe if they ever figure out making a remastered version of Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, we can talk about. We can read the Revan novel. We can jump back
Yeah.
to that. Which I know we talked about it when we talked about the Bane novel, but Bane novels. But Drew Karpyshyn also was the one of the head writers for KOTOR.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I mean the Revan novel
Revan is kind
takes
of
place after the
yeah,
events of the game.
like in the same way that Thrawn, maybe not exactly, but Thrawn is Timothy Zahn's brainchild.
Hmm.
Revan is almost Drew Karpyshyn's.
Yeah. And I mean, you think about it too, with the effect that Revan plays in the Bane trilogy. I mean, you can see the connections there too.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to be honest, Bane initiated the rule of two, but Revan kind of created it.
Mm,
The principles that Bane used, he got from a holocron that Revan made. And
yeah.
while Revan didn't enact the rule of two, it was his philosophy. So,
I
you
mean,
know,
we see Revan in KOTOR with like him and Malik doing all this stuff, and he's not really interested in building the whole Sith Empire or whatever. He's looking for a weapon of mass destruction so that he and
mhm.
Malik can do everything themselves.
Yeah, exactly,
Like,
exactly. Yeah. I came across an interesting video the other day, and it was if if Jedi from I think it was from the 100 Years War, or the something like that. I think that's what it's called. From the Old Republic era, if they were dropped into the Clone Wars, how many of them would survive Order 66 compared to the Jedi of nowadays? And like the guy was talking just how powerful those Jedi were. And
mm,
obviously they weren't as blind in the Force as the modern Jedi or the Order 66 Jedi were. But like it is kind of insane to think about. Like if you dropped Revan into the Clone Wars, one, I don't think the war would last nearly as long if you dropped Jedi like Revan or Revan himself into the Clone Wars, because I think that he is in a class in and of
well,
himself.
I think
Um,
Revan being both a Jedi and a Sith,
mhm.
or
Oh
having
yeah,
been both a Jedi and a Sith, I feel like Revan would have immediately been like, "There's something wrong with Palpatine."
yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing you got
Like,
to think about with this is like the way that you see Revan and the way that you see some of these old Republic Jedi, they were more powerful than Anakin during the Clone Wars. Now, hear me out on this. What I'm saying isn't that they had the higher potential. Anakin had the highest potential of anyone because he was the chosen one. He had the highest midichlorian count. That means that he would have become the most powerful Jedi out there. But he didn't. He was very powerful, but because of lack of knowledge, because the Jedi Council, prohibited some of his knowledge growth and stuff like that, and then also because he never reached his full potential. Like you can debate me on that however you want. I'm not going to ever back down from that opinion. Anakin never reached his full potential. He got cut up and turned into Vader. Revan was more powerful than Anakin. I would say Revan was more powerful than Anakin at any point in time, simply because Anakin never reached his full potential. Um, Same for a lot
now
of the old
you
old Jedi.
compare Anakin in that one Vader comic where he goes into like the like Force Vision or whatever, and like his
Hmm.
limbs regrow and he's able like tap into his full potential.
Yeah,
If we ever saw that version of Anakin,
yeah.
obviously he'd be the most powerful Jedi ever.
Like okay, one of my favorite scenes, and it's in the Revan book. Revan is uh gets his Revan mask, puts it on. He's in a Sith cell, so they're in the Sith Empire, and the people who came to rescue him are about to get evaporated by one of the Dark Lords on the Dark Council, Sith Lords on the Dark Council. So this is like one of the most powerful people in the universe at this point in time, outside of like Vitiate, who is the head of all of them. Um, he comes out, catches her lightning, throws it back at her, and she is dust. Like in a matter of seconds, he dusts her without even trying. It is like one of the most cool scenes you'll ever, I guess, envision. It's in a book, so you can't see it, but it's an amazing scene. It just shows how powerful Revan was, and obviously Revan wasn't a match for Vitiate. He ends up losing that fight. I mean, if you know anything about the story of Revan, he ends up losing that fight. Well, technically, he ends up losing that fight. He does battle with Vitiate, mentally for like a millennium or more. But anyways, Revan's story is a very interesting one. We do need to dive into that at some point down the road. The book is really good. The game is obviously really good. We've played it, and uh, I would love to. I started replaying through it, and then I have no time. So, but we're real off topic.
Well, I don't really know that we have too much else to talk about with the Thrawn trilogy unless we want to talk about the story for another 2 hours, but I don't feel like
Yeah,
either one of us really want to do that.
no, no,
But
no.
go read the book. It's very good. We'll save the story for you when you want to read it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the thing is like I don't think it's always our job to tell you exactly the story. It's more for us
Mm-hmm.
to bring points up that we had while we were reading the story and thoughts up that we were reading the story, but also it's more so just to kind of like bring awareness to the book. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
it was good. Go read it. Go listen to it. Like, I have a ton of time to listen to things. My Audible subscription does not keep up with the amount of books that I read through. In that, like, I get a credit a month. I read through a book in probably about a day or two. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't equivalate. But it's like, hey, if you have the ability to listen, or hey, if you have the time to read a book, here's a recommendation. It's 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 a mystery. It's a mystery genre. It's a um it's a bit of a thriller, not necessarily in like the scary form, but like, it has action sequences. But like it's very much like I would say that these kind of books are similar in like storyline to like what you would think of in, let's say, like the Ocean's movies, right? Where like it's not necessarily a heist, but like you're constantly trying to figure out, oh, what's going on? Oh, how did that happen? Oh, this, that, the other thing. You're constantly taking bits and pieces of the story and having to puzzle them together. And then by the end of the book, you have a complete picture that makes sense. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you like stories like that, I would recommend this book. I think it's really good. It doesn't really matter if you're a huge Star Wars fan or not. It's a good story, and it's just set in a galaxy far, far away, or at least beyond a galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although it says beyond a galaxy far, far away, but I think it's supposed to be set in the unknown regions, which are still part of the same galaxy. But
It's beyond what we know.
there you go. But yeah, highly recommend. Go read Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising.
Mhm.
And make sure to join us next week because we're talking about
Next time.
presumably next time. You're right. Because we're presumably going to be talking about more Thrawn with Rebels Season 3.
Hmm.
Go
Yeah.
ahead and sign us off, Wesley.
Alrighty. Well, hey, if you made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave a comment down below. Tell us what your thoughts are. Also, tell us whether you're wearing shoes or not. All right, comment down
I am
below.
not.
I am not either. So comment down below if you're wearing shoes. Socks don't count. If you're wearing socks, that's fine. We don't need to know about that. But shoes, if you're wearing shoes, let us know.
I'm also not wearing pants
And
either.
underwear,
I
don't
lied.
stand up.
Actually, I'm wearing pants.
I mean you got up earlier at one
Yeah.
point, then walked out. So that's one thing is like sometimes I'm like I don't need to wear pants for this, and then sometimes I'm like, well, what if I have to get up? Like, the camera's still there, so I'm like, I'll just wear pants anyways. Technically,
Yeah.
I'm wearing shorts, so as long as you're wearing British pants, we're good. Um, don't need no surprise viewings. But anyways, let us know if you're wearing shoes down in the comments. Also, let us know what you liked, what you didn't, and hey, if you liked it, please leave a comment on the not a comment, leave a like on the video.
And
Like the video. That
hey,
it helps us out.
let us know what you thought of Chaos Rising. Also, I'm
Hmm.
gonna give you a heads up
Let us know if you read it.
because in 4 weeks we are going to be talking about the second one. I forget what the name of the second one is.
Hey,
Uh,
it's lesser, no, not lesser evil.
Greater
It's
Good.
greater good.
Greater Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lesser evil is the
Yes.
third one.
Yes.
If any of this interests you, please subscribe to the channel because it helps us out, doesn't hurt you with
Mhm.
a bit, and our videos will end up popping up and being around for you to watch if you are interested in that. So subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, whatever platform you're listening to. Make sure that you keep us in your feed because you cannot trust YouTube or any other podcast platform to constantly be pushing our content if it is something that you enjoy. So, with that, this has been X-Wing Radio. I will sign off now. Anyways, bye. Go listen to something else. Go listen to another episode.
Now this is podcasting.